Hello, everybody. Welcome to the live Amber Fang launch party, which actually, maybe it's kind of sad since it's just me launching the book all by myself. But no, that's not sad. It's actually exciting. This has been a very exciting day for me, and I'm trying to think of a way to launch a book that is really kind of a virtual book, although there is a real version of the book that exists, of course, for people to pick up. But also, it's just a book that people are downloading onto their iPads and their Kindles and their Kobos and their Nooks, and I won't name all the other things. Uh, but it's kind of a curious thing because you just don't go have a launch so much at a bookstore for this kind of book, and so I decided that I would do my launch here in my own office, in the office where I wrote Amber Fang. And yeah, I even got dressed up, which I'm sure you're really, really impressed by. So I think what I'll do is I'm going to talk a little bit about the day because the day on a launch day, I kind of had this whole plan to, I sent out messages to my newsletter and on Facebook, and anybody who follows me on any media is probably really sick of me right now. But, and the first thing I did is I had a really horrible sleep. That's what happened. But not because I was worried about the launch. It's because I watched Walking Dead. And don't worry, no spoilers. I won't give away anything about that episode other than I had a horrible sleep after. So thanks a lot, Walking Dead. That was really, really wonderful of you. But today, the book was launched. It was released all across the world in all these different places. And hi, Stephen. Good to see you're here. And so once I launched the book, it's kind of a curious experience because you get to watch everything kind of unfold, by refreshing and refreshing and refreshing on all the different Amazon stats and those kind of things. And it really it's curious how immediate it is to find out whether people are buying the book, what kind of things are happening with it, reviews are coming up, that sort of thing. And I really kind of I'm a geek, I admit it, and so I kind of enjoyed the experience of going through and trying to figure out how this whole publishing system works. Anyway, the book itself, Amber Fang, as I've showed several times, was it was really kind of an idea that I had about a year and a half, 2 years ago, and it sounds cheesy, right? I mean, a librarian, assassin, vampire, it's totally cheesy. But I really had so much fun writing the book. And it's one of the joys of creating the character was having somebody who's kind of sassy and who can travel all around the world and eat people. Because who doesn't want to, experience that, or at least read about that? And it just kind of, because it's written for an older audience than what I normally write for, because my 18 books before this are usually kind of more middle grade, young adult. And this is more young adult and what they sometimes call new adult, or what I like to say, anybody who enjoys a good story. And thanks, Don. Good of you to say that. And so I just had, I just felt like this real sense of release, like that I could just tell this rock and roll fun story and make fun of librarians at the same time. No, I am not making fun of librarians. Actually, that was one of the kind of the fun things about this day. And obviously I have great respect for librarians because where would I be without all those people looking after all the books? But one of the fun things was my day job, at least for the next 9 months, is a writer in residence in a library. So I launch a book about librarian vampires, and then I go spend the whole day with librarians. And I just want you to know that that was very, very, very brave of me to do that. So, oh, look, even my mom is here. Look, hello, Mom. Good to see you. And even family has joined. And not everybody is sick of hearing about Amber Fang yet. But the book has been doing incredibly well. It's gone up the charts on Amazon and on Kobo. It's harder to tell on some of the other ones where it's kind of ending up. But it's actually the #1 horror comedy book on Amazon, and I think it's the number 2 horror book on Kobo right now. So both of those things that's a really kind of neat thing to have happen within the space of having a book launch. That's what I mean by having this kind of um, immediate reaction to the book. I thought what I would do is first I will take a sip of my black wine, which people go, well, is that blood? Is that what you're drinking? Like that would be really grotesque. No, this is actually Coke because I thought on a launch day I probably shouldn't. It's kind of a rule of mine, like don't drink wine before you before. Oh, and look, my wife is telling me, did I know that everything is backwards? I.e., the title of your book. Yeah, I know. That's one of the things about Facebook Live, or Facebook Live, is things are backwards. So if I hold it upside down, oh no, that doesn't help either. So nothing I can do about that. Anyway, this is my Coke. This is going to keep me awake. That's what it's going to do. But I thought I would start off with, actually, I'm going to do what I call the Bilbo Baggins. That's what I call it. I'm going to reach into my pocket and find out what's there. And you know what I found in my pocket? I found this, which means that I haven't actually worn this suit jacket since New Year's. That's right. This is how often I get dressed up, I guess. So I think this is like the perfect time to make the perfect noise to launch a book. There you go. We can really start now. I thought I would read a little bit from the book just to kind of give you an impression of what goes on in the story, and as if the title doesn't say enough. And what I need from you is you'll have to use your imagination, because my character, Amber Fang, is a 24-year-old vampire who is female and is full of energy, and I am not female and not a vampire, and I'm definitely not 24 years old. So you're just going to have to really, really use your imagination on this part. Chapter 1, Feeding Day. My mother always told me never to fall in love with my food. There was no chance of that today. Jordan Rex was not someone I, nor anyone with half an IQ point, would ever fall in love with. He was food, though. I could smell his blood from 50 feet away, the scent mingling with the Ellie stink of dried urine and curdled milk. I padded along on bare feet, the bachelorette-style high heels I'd worn to the bar stuffed into my backpack purse. Stilettos were helpful in a waitress interview or on the dance floor, but hunting shoes they're not. I scanned for security cameras. The blurred images of me feeding in Boston had forced the move to Seattle. I was already deathly sick of the constant drizzle. Mr. Rex was wobble-weaving a path farther and farther down the alley into sketchy territory. Buildings with broken windows, a few rusted fire escapes hanging loosely on the walls, no lights in any of the windows. He stood at least 6'4", so he had a good 8 inches on me, and he boasted enormous arms. For a 45-year-old, he was carrying very little flab. Still, easy pickings. As long as I did everything right, that is. Slow and steady. Mum had drilled that command into me ad infinitum. Your prey must never suspect your presence. Become the wind. She actually did say that. Every time. Then she'd giggle and touch the tip of her petite nose to show she was joking. I inherited that same nose, but not the nose-tapping habit. She was an odd bird, and I loved her to bits. In most vampire movies, the prey suffers long minutes of terror. They scream, they beg, they die. Not so in the real world, my world that is. It's not efficient hunting. The best kills are silent and over before the food knows it's dead, before their fight-or-flight response kicks in. An overtaxed heart makes the blood spurt with too much force. I'd wrecked a perfectly good white dress that way a few months back. Something whirred in the air far above me, but I couldn't see exactly what might be making that sound, and was too hungry to care. My gray eyes provided handy night vision. Rex was a red outline in the alley. Soon he'd be outlined in chalk, and some poor cop would be trying to write up his case. Those suckers didn't get paid enough. Suckers! Ha! I'll stop right there. So that's a bit of bit. You get a bit of an idea of what Amber's voice is like, and it's funny because it's, you never know where your book's going to end up when on all these different charts, right? And Amazon divides it into all these different things, and so it was kind of funny to see my book ending up as a vampire comedy, and I assume it's because of the tone of voice. I guess partly because I labeled it as a comedy when I put it up on Amazon, but I just thought it was kind of a funny book. But it's not really humorous because some really horrible things happen in this book. Because I just can't seem to write any books that don't have horrible things happening there. I I see that Dan says that the noisemaker was the perfect touch, and it was. It's one of those things that I just happened to, just before I sat down, I happened to reach in here and found the noisemaker, and I thought, wow, this is just exactly the right thing. It suddenly set the whole mood. I mean, as if me drinking out of drinking Coke from a wine glass didn't set the mood enough. This has really set the mood. And oh, Susie, I hope you enjoyed the book. And I don't think I really gave very much away, having read just that first little part. And there is an ETA for book two, and the ETA I've actually started book two, and I've only have the first chapter done. So I feel a little bit like I'm like bragging before I've done anything. Yeah, I started the book, but I have about 4 pages done. But my intention is actually to write them fairly quickly. And it might even be, if everything goes to plan, it will be within the next 4 months that I should have it finished. And the great thing about getting something to getting something finished, and you're going to, because this is a self-published work, is that once you're finished it and everything it's gone through the editors, and I do use 2 different editors. Um, Actually, I use 3 different editors now that I think of it. Uh, and by the way, I mean I paid them. And but once you get it done, you can put it up the next day. That's the really bizarre thing about this kind of new world. And I shouldn't say it's that new since we've been doing it for a while, but it's just that things can happen so quickly. But before I release it, I really want to be sure that everything is perfect on it. I don't want to rush it. So when I say 4 months, that seems that's my what I would call my pie in the sky prediction. And then, of course, 4 months from now, you'll be sending me an email and go, well, where's the book? What's going on? You said 4 months. I said, oh, did I say 4 months? I meant 4 years. No, it won't be 4 years. That part I'm pretty sure about. Oh, I see that my daughter Tanea, who's watching this upstairs, wants me to toot the horn again. The first time was a fail. Okay, I'm sure this is incredibly entertaining for everyone. Really, if I was to do this properly, it should be more like this. So, if you do have any questions, please feel free to post them there. And much better, Dad. I'm told that I'm doing a much better. I'm glad that I'm entertaining my daughter, who should be getting ready for bed pretty soon now, I'm hoping. So, yeah, as you can see, and for those who have seen, like, for example, my treadmill video where I walk on my treadmill desk and put on a World War I helmet to keep myself safe, you will know that my sense of humor is a little bit goofy. And I apologize for anybody who was offended by that. And I am happy, Don, that you gave me an LOL, which really, you probably shouldn't encourage me in any way, shape, or form to attempt my humor, because it's really it's kind of dangerous, actually, when I think of it. So the kind of the process for the book, though, I think what I liked about it was that it didn't take. It seemed to feel very natural for me to. The LOL was for us upstairs. Oh, I see. Yeah, you're not laughing. They're not laughing at me, Brenda. Thanks. That's my wife, by the way, pointing out that my humor was a fail. Thank you for that. I'll write that down. But the thing I enjoyed is that not every book is easy. And for any of you who have read any of my other books, for example, Flickers, which is actually my most recent book before this, which is for a younger audience than Amber Fang, but that book took me 3 years. And it's a little bit longer, but it shouldn't have taken me 3 years. But it's just how sometimes books come out. But with Amber Fang, it feels very natural for me. The story seems to almost fall into place exactly how I want it to. And as long as that continues, then I will continue working on and trying to get working on my schedule for this book. And I am still, of course, writing other books while I'm working on Amber Fang. I I'm I tend to write in far too many directions at once. As what's the saying? I gallop off madly in all directions. So I'm going to be writing Amber Fang, and I'm going to be working on a fantasy novel that is called Crimson. So that's one of the things that I'm going to do. And I'm also just started a book that is set during the Roman Empire, during the rise of Caesar Augustus, who rose from an 18-year-old to become the emperor, the very first emperor of Rome. So those are very varied topics, and as my agent often says, he goes, if you could just write like kind of the same kind of genre, then people would keep reading that genre. But someday maybe I'll actually figure out how to write to the same genre. But I don't know. I do whatever kind of entertains me and whatever I think will make a good story. That's kind of my main thing. Oh, Stephen says, do you have any other books planned as Stephen Shea? And Stephen Shea is my pseudonym because I've two books that were published. That I guess these are self-published, and I made them a pseudonym because both of them they're both intended for older audiences, and perhaps I don't know if they're older because Amber Fang is kind of for older audiences too, but it kind of is in that border between young adult and adult. And the other two, which were let me see. One has a serial killer in it, so we'll say that it's not a happy story. And I didn't want anybody who happened to be reading my books that I'd written for kids in grade 4 to then pick up my serial killer book. So that's why I used the pseudonym Stephen Shea. I don't have any other books planned specifically for that. I think part of it is it's hard. Well, it's not hard to write under a pseudonym. The writing is all the same, but the difficulty is in kind of getting the word out. And so much energy, and especially I know other authors have probably experienced this too, so much energy is taken in presenting yourself to the world and presenting yourself as the author to the world, so that if I found that changing over to this other Stephen Shea meant that I had to start another Twitter account, and then I had to kind of divide my time between the two, and it was just basically it was too much work. I'm lazy. So I think pretty well everything I will write will be from it'll be from Arthur Slade's. I'll use Arthur Slade as my name just because, well, that's the name my mom gave me. Who, by the way, Mom, if you're still there, thanks for giving me that name. Or I guess my dad gave it to me too. Maybe you both agreed on that being an okay name. Actually, they were going to call me Stephen, which is why I used Stephen Shea. There we go. The things you learn. And again, I'll keep going for a couple more minutes, but hi Garnet, by the way, thanks for coming. And if you have any more questions, I will attempt to answer them. And I think that I in some ways I'll be happy when the official launch is over, which is today is the launch day for Amber Fang. No, I will be happy. I won't say in some ways I'll be happy. I will really be happy because this is not the first time I've spent a lot of time kind of promoting and a launch before it happened, but it's the first time where everything's kind of been on my shoulders, and you get kind of, or at least I should say, more nervous when I feel like I get more nervous. Poor Shay died of cancer of the pseudonym. Yes, that's exactly what happened. He's still out there. He just doesn't write any more books. That's all. He's retired, is the way I like to look at it. I forgot totally what I was talking about before that. Now I'm just going to laugh at your comments and forget what I'm talking about. I honestly have forgotten. This is a very embarrassing author moment. Anyway, whatever I was talking about, I'm sure it was very important. My mom or my wife will remind me later. and they may even make fun of me once or twice. I'm not sure. But oh yeah, I guess what I was saying is that everything is kind of on my shoulders in the sense that that that's right. Thanks, Stephen, for reminding me. Thankful that lunch day is over. I am thankful that lunch day is over because I ate far too much at lunch and it was really painful. But launch, that's what it was. It's just that everything feels like that it's all on my shoulders. So if things fall apart, I can't blame my publisher because I am the publisher, and I'm the one who I found the cover. I hired the cover artist, but I actually found the woman who is Amber Fang is somebody who I bought, or I guess the cover artist actually paid for it. But there was a photo shoot that you could buy these images for whatever the amount was, and you could use them on your covers. And I'm really excited about the fact that there are about 5 different images kind of like this. And because I plan on writing at least 3 books in the series, and if not more, kind of depending on how people react to it. It's just, I'm really excited about that because that means that I can, that same face, and she's making all these different faces that are very vampirific, and they will appear on the covers and it'll be the same person. So that's kind of my intention with the covers. And yeah, it's just funny how it's a different experience because when I'm working with one of my publishers, I give them my story and then they say, okay, we're going to put a cover on it. And then I see the cover, but I don't really have so much input on when it's created. Whereas this is right from the very beginning. I found the image and sent it to an artist who he's actually he's in England, and so he put everything else together. And I actually found all the different elements. I think I even found the books that were in there, and I told him what my name is, so he was able to put that on. And of course, told him what the title of the book was. And so that it really feels like in many ways that I feel like this is totally my book, and I guess all my books are totally mine. But there's always input from other people, and the covers are made by other publishers, whereas all the decisions were mine. So if anything goes wrong, and it's my fault, but it hasn't gone wrong. Everything's gone really well, and the book seems to be taking off. Whether it continues on from there, we'll find out. And it's really kind of a long-term thing. I think I am intending to do it three books. I have kind of a little plot line for that. By little plot line, I mean really little, because I'm too lazy to write out big long things about what's going to happen because I want it to be a surprise for me. So it's a little plot line like Amber does this, Amber does that, and then there's a happy ending until the aliens land on them or something like that. So that's kind of my plans. Now, any more questions? Because I think I will wrap up this launch pretty soon. I will finish drinking my. Thanks, Garnet. Thanks for saying congrats, and thanks for the thing that has been most interesting to me about this is all the support that I've had through people like I have a newsletter that has about 3,000 subscribers, and if you're not on there, you should join. It's really hilarious. Just ask my mom. And what's been really exciting to me, because the book is so personal to me because I personally created it, is all of the help that I've had. There's been so many authors who have been on Facebook today and on Twitter and have been telling the world about it, and so many readers who are many of you are here today, who have just had such a positive reaction, and all those things are really really are really really helpful for authors. It's sometimes you forget that when you're writing a book that someone's actually going to read it. And so when you do get the book done and someone reads it and you get a really strong positive reaction, then that just encourages you to do more. And it's all of that has just been really overwhelming for me, all the help that I've had. And I'm just really thankful for it, and always trying to pay back in whatever ways I can. It's hard to get self-published books on Nook. I guess it can be. It's funny because I signed up on Nook probably 4 years ago, I guess, and I've even forgotten what the process was that I went through to get on there. And so that part of it, it probably was hard, but I have now forgotten it. And therefore I can go, oh, I've forgotten it. It must have been really, really easy. So, well, if there aren't any more questions, I will continue on with my evening. And I just want to say once again, thanks to everybody for helping out with the book. Thanks for kicking it off. It is so much fun to have Amber Fang out in the world, and it's so great to see the reaction to the book. And I'm so thankful for everyone who has picked it up. It's been really extremely helpful to me. And you've been encouraging me, not just in my odd sense of humor, but encouraging me to write more. And I really do plan on adding more to this series, and of course keep on writing books, because that's how I get paid. So again, thank you very much. Thanks for coming to the launch, and thanks for saying we love you. And yeah, keep on reading. Yeah, you're welcome, Stephen. You're welcome, Dawn. You're welcome, Brenda. I'll go upstairs, Brenda, and say you're welcome up there. Okay, take care, everybody. Have a great evening.